ball of fire streaking across the night sky. The latest in a string of stellar sightings seen here overnight in California.
Whoa!
And Space City living up to its name.
Did y'all see that?
With this one Saturday afternoon in Houston.
It's going to be an explosion. A meteor or a missile fell out of the sky.
Traveling at 35,000 miles per hour, NASA says.
That's where it came in at.
Part of it crashing through this woman's roof, leaving a massive crater.
And just boom, did I hear the boom.
The meteor was about 3 feet in diameter, NASA says, and weighed about a ton before it broke apart in the sky, sending researchers and hunters alike to this park searching for fragments.
Yeah, so I found 2 meteorites this morning.
So how does it feel?
I was very excited. You know, it's very exciting to find it and know that you're holding something that just 2 days ago was in space.
3 galactic spectacles in the past week, experts say.
Oh, what the? What's that?
This in Ohio.
The size of the meteor is pretty big. You can see the fireball more easily.
An out-of-this-world experience that one need only look up to see.
Hold on one second. We're about to get to the bottom of this, ladies and gentlemen. This don't make no sense whatsoever. Welcome to the Dark Waters channel, where we explore mysteries, figure out the truth, dive into politics, and anything else you want to know about. That's what we doing over here, baby. Let's go. Well, ladies and gentlemen, the one and only James Williams, Dark Waters, and I'm back, and it's your late night video. And I'm going to start with this. A good friend of mine, a Vietnamese individual, who used to be a client of mine from New Orleans East in an area called Michoud, once told me, he said, there's 2 types of people in this world. There's the type of people who get things done, and then there's the type of people who talk about doing things. By the way, his name was Bitch Win. Yes, his real name was Bitch Win. His wife's name was Ho Win. Literally, Bitch and Ho Win. And the one thing that Bitch Win always said was, James, you the kind of guy that get things done. You get things done. I agree with Bitch Win. I do get things done. And I'm not playing. The man's name was Bitch and his wife's name was Ho Win. Now, Win is spelled N-Y-G-U-N. And that is the Vietnamese spelling of it. And what I come to you today to bring forth from the confines of a little cave is to talk about the national security threat that seems to be so pervasive right now, but nobody's talking about, and it's overshadowed by the war in Iran. Something's falling from the sky. I told you my opinion on it, that it is falling angels, but the combination of things constantly falling from the sky, not one thing, not 2 things, but every day something new's falling from the sky. And the talking points that are being rolled out quietly, they're whispering things. Something's coming. Something's here. Do you hear them whispering? I hear them whispering, ladies and gentlemen. And it begs the question. All this talk about the UFO, all this talk about asteroids, all this talk about war in the heavens. Can we find any evidence or proof of this in the news? I think we can, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to start with this very first thing with Jesse Waters.
The former assistant FBI director. Chris, the mind goes right to a foreign intelligence service. Is that where your gut tells you this is going towards?
Well, yeah, it is, Jesse. I mean, I understand the UFO angle has a lot of interest and people love to kind of dabble in that area with their theories. But if you look at these 2, they were both involved in very, very sensitive rocket propulsion programs associated with missiles and space travel. And there was one particular piece of technology, certain type of metal that really liberated us from having to rely on Russian Soviet technology back in the day. So it's really sensitive stuff, and I'm not a big believer in coincidences. So, if I were heading up the FBI field office or the FBI right now, I would have a full team on this one just to make sure. I mean, I'd look at everything, dissect their lives, and just see if there's any connection to some hostile foreign intelligence service. They want that information. They've been working to get it for years and years. India, Pakistan, even some of our friends are trying to get that type of technology from us, and they'd stop at nothing to get it.
Yeah, we did hear reports that the UFOs that were recovered are being exploited to, I guess, take advantage of whatever technology that's so advanced so we could apply that to our military. And there's kind of an arms race. You know, who could ramp up this UFO technology the fastest? Would that be a motive, and also a financial motive too?
Well, I mean, the motivation to get your hands on that technology cuts both ways. You know, they would like to socially engineer their way into it, get it that way, get it through some sort of other methods that they use, or getting into our military bases with plants. And in some cases, they'll compromise a scientist, and that can lead to problem. Of course, to lead to problems. But he left with a .38 caliber weapon and a backpack, and no wallet, no phone. So you wonder what he was really up to here. You know, did he anticipate not coming back? No wallet, no phone, and what was he doing with the .38 caliber weapon? So you wonder if he was, if he had been compromised and he was going to, take the extreme measures to deal with it himself.
Yeah, have you ever heard of situations where foreign scientists are abducted and then, tortured for intelligence?
Yeah, there are examples of that. Most of them we haven't heard about. They're classified. But the Israelis have done this with the nuclear scientists with hostile services that they've been very proactive in that area. We've taken a few of them out. That they have, maybe with our assistance, maybe not. And it wouldn't be the first time. It happened during World War II. We were targeting German scientists. They were targeting ours. And that's where that whole, the whole aura around espionage sort of sprung up. All the James Bond stuff around nuclear propulsion, space travel, all of the weaponry that can come out of that through missile technology.
And you're ruling out this was an alien abduction. You're ruling that out? I'm not sure if you're a believer, Chris.
I'm not going to go there, Jesse. That's I'll leave that to the people that love to delve in that area.
So this conversation that we just witnessed, Jesse Waters talks about and brings to the forefront and the surface in a slick manner that these people have been working with UFOs and special types of metals, which made them subject to possibly alien abduction, possibly abduction and torture by foreign actors. You would never think 2 years ago, you would never think that this type of conversation would be happening on Fox News. It's almost as if Alex Jones was right when he said the mainstream news is now the independent news, because you wouldn't be getting these kind of talking points, ladies and gentlemen, at all. Never, ever, 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 ever would you hear people talking about such things. Now, I want to get into the beautiful Anna Paulina Luna, and we're going to go from just showing you where we are in regular news, because it's good. It's like you need to put a linchpin in that UFOs, the creepy, weird things that were only talked about on Coast to Coast AM with Art Bell, are now on Fox News. Let's be clear with that. And that's a huge leap forward. But I want to go to Anna Paula Luna, and she's going to talk about what she thinks these UFOs are. And then she's going to talk about what every individual who came out of the briefings on UFOs, the impression they came out with. I think we will start with the impression part first, if that's okay with you, ladies and gentlemen. If it's okay with you, I need you to hit the like button and say, "Ow." Now, first of all, I can't believe I didn't know the lady on the left was gay. I didn't know this. It's not that it really matters for the sake of this video, but I didn't know, because I always thought she was like this cute chick, you know what I'm saying, back in the day. Didn't know she was gay. I never knew it. That just lets you know I don't have a gaydar. You know what I'm saying? Like, I got a sassy gaydar. If you sassy like, honey, child, I got one. But a regular gaydar, I just don't have one, because it's not, my gaydar doesn't work. You know what I'm saying? I'm just not like trying to search the world looking for gay people.
The Alien Files. I mean, okay, this has been going on now for decades, arguably kicked up to a greater degree after we dropped the bomb on Japan. But then there's evidence, and I've listened to all your brilliant interviews. Obviously, the most notable would be with Joe Rogan, where you got him to read the Book of Enoch out of the Bible, and I even downloaded a whole video that I've yet to watch on this. Okay, but so it would be biblical. These UAPs going back thousands of years. Trump says he's going to declassify. Hegseth says we're going to do it. I don't think anyone's going to do it. Are they going?
You know, I want to pause this right here, and I want to go back 6 years ago. 6 years ago, I'm on either Midnight in the Desert or Kingdom in the Nye radio show doing interviews. If you want to find my old late night interviews where I told stories live, go listen to the old Kingdom of Nye and Midnight in the Desert talk show. And I said then that we're going into this phase where if the communities that were the UFO, cryptid, spooky, paranormal communities could get out of each other's way and stop fighting and stop destroying each other, that those communities, there will be people from these communities that rose to the level of Fox News, that rose to the level of CNN, because you know the truth about what happened and what has happened, because you are real researchers. And I think it's mighty funny that in 2026, exactly what I said, the possibility is true, but the communities have beaten each other up so much and fought with each other and destroyed each other so much that no one has risen, because they tend to be a community of crabs in a bucket. And so when one person rises, they all get mad and pull that person down. And so now we at this pivotal moment in history where all the spooky, scary, creepy things are being revealed unto men, and those who specialize in the spooky, scary, and creepy do not have a voice. They don't. I have a voice, but I'm not going to speak for them. You ain't got to worry about that. I'm never speaking for them. But they don't have a voice, because the voices that God raised in that community, they all fought. Now, I just wanted to make that point, and I'm going to keep it moving. Let's get back to actually both of these cute little ladies and let them finish talking.
Going to do it?
No, I think they're very serious about doing it, and I'll
really?
I won't get too much into the specifics. Yeah, I definitely think that they're going to do it. You know, what's been interesting is, so obviously there's been footage that my committee released. Actually, it was Eric Burleson that released it, playing it in the committee that we had for the declassification task force. And we can't explain that. And there has been other instances of footage that we cannot explain. And we have dealt with an agency, not the CIA, that specifically has an internal task force that is looking into all this stuff. And as soon as we get the official on paper declassification order, I want to do a press conference with all the information that we are told and shown in that briefing, because it's important for people to know. But, you know, the federal government's never going to tell you, you know, if they can't explain something. First of all, they're likely not going to admit it, right? But this aspect of, I think that we're the only life form in a, you know, however big and wide this universe is, I think is kind of maybe a little bit short-sighted.
Of course.
Especially being that, you know, they're looking for microbes. As Avi Loeb says, if you're looking for microbes, you know, on a distant planet, that's like looking for dust out of your front door. Why are you not looking for the person that lives in the house? And I think that there has been aspects. This does get into kind of the spiritual discussion and, you know, if you believe in angel and demons or what constitutes that. But yeah, I definitely think that there's some interesting stuff there. And I definitely will tell you that I was with Congressman Matt Gaetz and Tim Burchett at Eglin Air Force Base. We were denied access. We got into an actual fight with the base commander. He got up in the middle of our congressional delegation, which never happens. I'm a vet. I've never seen this happen. And left to go on TDY, left in the middle of the meeting and went to Georgia and never came back. And then we were able to finally get one of the pilots in. I had the pilot sketch what he saw. We also saw some other stuff, and we can't explain it. And the initial reason why we went up there is because we had pilots that came forward to Congressman Gates' office saying that the Air Force was covering up UAP activity.
Right.
And that's not the only time we've been denied access, which is concerning because you have this oversight aspect that you're a duly elected member of Congress and that you should be providing oversight for the American people, and that you have these programs and people and organizations operating outside the purview of authority of the federal government. That's not okay. And so, yeah, it's definitely interesting.
Well, there have been claims that we have biologics. If this is declassified, do we see those things? Or
I don't think, I've followed up on we have asked questions or try to get at least as far as we can get on the whole aspect of biologics. But what's been interesting is a lot of people that we will follow up with either end up ghosting us or don't come into the skiff. But then you have the aspects of some of the stuff that we have seen. And every single member of Congress that has gone into that briefing that we had has come out and said, seasonal language, we're like, holy shit.
Wow.
So yeah, so there's some interesting stuff. You're definitely going to see a lot of interesting footage, a lot of photos, firsthand accounts from certain people that will be out in those reports. And then the American people can decide. If you think that it's, nothing, you want to carry on, fine. But, I don't think that that's going to be what the general consensus will be.
It certainly seems like that won't be the case. And you're hearing about service people who've been injured by some aspect of these craft and are not getting the care they need. Famously, I actually watched that on Tucker, and it's been verified. Not famously, I've watched that on Tucker, and it's been verified in other interviews where it was actually Tucker and Rogan. So let me correct that. That service people have been injured by these UAPs, but they're not getting the care they need because it's like the whole thing doesn't exist, I guess. So, would these people get the care they need? Like, what do we get when this comes out? Do you think we get everything? Like, what do we get? Or is it?
I think you're going to get a lot of cool stuff, but okay. I don't think that there's going to be ever the full admission from the federal government telling you what to believe, right? So they'll release it, but they're not going to tell you
what it is. Okay. What to make of it, okay. Last question on this one. Last question on this one. You suggested that you think it's interdimensional, or it has been suggested to you it's interdimensional versus intergalactic. What I took away from that is that, these things have always been here. They didn't travel here from some faraway place in space and time, that we couldn't perceive them previously because they were able to travel in and out of dimensions our senses do not allow us to perceive. Is there any reason that you think it's that versus another galaxy far, far away, Star Wars kind of stuff?
Yeah. Based on some stuff that we came across in one of our briefings, and then also too, based on witness testimony, specifically refusing to call it anything but interdimensional. And then also too, I have my personal reasons for believing that.
I understand. All right, guys, if you like this clip and you want to watch the full episode, click here. And if you want more content.
Girl, I like you. I like you, girl. I like your voice too. So, ladies and gentlemen, the whole conversation ends with the point I wanted to make, that these are interdimensional beings. And this is the point I've been making, that this is interdimensional beings. And for those of you who think Dog Waters just talks about politics, you might want to go back and look at what I've been saying. I've been consistently saying this for 10 years at the highest levels in the paranormal, cryptid, spooky ooky world, that these are interdimensional beings. Then I will chunk further down and say they are demons and fallen angels and little g gods, which are fallen angels. Everyone keeps up bringing up the Book of Enoch. And Book of Enoch is good for scriptural, it's good for reference material. Excuse me. And so it's not the gospel, but it's good to reference if you want to get into this stuff. And anybody who's been with me for a while, I'll be like, oh, they always talking about the Book of Enoch, the Book of Enoch. I'm going to give you one section out of the Book of Enoch that proves the point that I'm making, that these are interdimensional beings. Because you don't need a whole bunch of it to understand this. There's 3 different passages in the Book of Enoch that explain where demons come from, that there were giants, and that there were watchers that were interdimensional beings. The rest of it you can read through and do what you're going to do. That's like reading the Book of Giants about the giant wars and all the rest of that stuff, which, by the way, on this channel, we started doing that. And then I realized that the book was full of demons because the night I read it out loud for everybody, some damn big-headed monster shadow thing came in my bedroom, and I had to cast it out in the name of Jesus Christ. And I was like, okay, this is full of damn demons. It's a damn demon. And I was like, you going demon? Man, in fact, let me tell y'all this story so you'll understand. I'm laying in a bed, right? In that point in time, I had my computer in my bedroom. You know what I'm saying? And I would record only audio. So I had it in my bedroom. Behind was behind the opposite wall from the computer was the bed. And I had been recording this episode on the Wars of the Giants, where I'm narrating it and adding music to it. And it's like a cinematic thing, which it's gone on this channel now. It's hidden at least. And so I get through doing it, and I go to lay down in the bed. And you know how your door to your bedroom opens, right? If you open your bedroom door and you push it all the way open, there's always this obtuse triangle space, like this elongated triangle space between the door and the wall, because the door typically doesn't always like flatten against your wall, right? Because it's on a hinge. And it's a little bitty tiny space. When I'm laying there and the lights are off, but the TV's on, and the computer's hooked up to the TV, so I'm laying in the bed like this, the TV's in front of me, and I'm starting to drift off to sleep, and I feel this presence. And I know it's a presence because I know the atmosphere of my house starts to change. And so I'm feeling this presence. I'm like, what the hell is this? And I open my eyes, and from behind that little bitty space, you see what looks like a neck. And it's this neck that's like protruding up from that little bitty space. And then there's this head. And then on this head is like these things that are doing like this. It's not necessarily hair, but it's like it's moving. So I'm laying in the bed and I look and I say, all right, I'm tripping. I lost my damn mind. This thing that I'm looking at can't be real. This can't be the real thing. So I rub my eyes like this. I'm rubbing my eyes like this can't be real. This crap right here just can't be real. And then I open my eyes and it's still there. I say, oh hell, this a damn demon. And then my mind says, now how the hell does it get in my house? It's moving, and I'm like, how the hell this thing get in my house? And then finally I say, hey you. In the name of Jesus Christ, I cast you out of here to the dry places where you be held and bound in Holy Ghost chains of fire. And the thing looks like, whips his head and looks. And then boom, gone. So when I tell you, I have reasons for not going deeper into these things, because these things end up being religions themselves. And you can always find the people who've infiltrated and become priests of these religions because they're very proud. Like I saw a priest of one of the religions in the comments today. He said, well, Dark Waters, you're getting much better. You're halfway there. But what you need to understand is this. The person was so audacious and condescending and prideful in what they were writing. My comment and reply was, so you have superior knowledge to me, huh? And I said, laugh out loud. But you're going to always notice those priests from those different religions because they're going to be bold and they're going to always be professing what they know, and you don't know anything. It's because they take on the nature of the priesthood that they're in. They take on the nature of the spirit that they're preaching, because that's essentially what it is. They take on the nature of the spirit that they're carrying the word for. That's the word. Thank you, Holy Spirit, that they're evangelizing for. So there's people who evangelize for UFOs. There are people who evangelize for Dogman and Bigfoot. There's people who evangelize for ghosts and demons. And there's people who evangelize for the fallen ones. It's called the priesthood of the giants. I gave it that name. You ain't gonna hear that nowhere else but with me, because I've interacted with people who evangelize for the giants. Whew, that was a little trip that we went down a rabbit hole. Give me 1 second. I'll be right back. I want to show you something. Here it is. We have found the book of Enoch, chapter XIV, the book of the words of righteousness and of the reprimand of the eternal watchers, in accordance with the command of the great Holy One. In that vision, I saw in my sleep what I will now say was a tongue of flesh with the breath of my mouth, which the Great One has given to men to converse wherewith and understand with the heart, as he had created and given to man the power of understanding of the word of wisdom, so hath he created me also and given me the power of reprimanding the watchers, the children of heaven. I wrote out your petition, and in my vision it appeared thus, that your petition will not be granted to you throughout all the days of eternity, and that judgment has been finally passed upon you. Yea, your petition will not be granted unto you, and from henceforth you shall not ascend into heaven unto all eternity, and in bonds of the earth the decrees has gone forth to bind you for all the days of the world. And that previously you have seen the destruction of your beloved sons, and ye shall have no pleasure in them, but they shall fall before you by the sword. Verse 7, and your petition on the behalf shall not be granted, nor yet on your own, even though you weep and pray and speak all the words contained in the writings which I have written. And the vision was shown to me thus, behold, in the vision clouds invited me, and a mist surrounded me in the course of the stars, and the lightning sped and hastened me, and the winds in the vision caused me to fly and lifted me upwards and bore me into heaven. And I went in till I drew nigh to the wall, which is built of crystal and surrounded by tongues of fire, and it began to affrighten me. And I went into the tongues of fire and drew nigh to a large house, which was built of crystals, and the walls of the house were like a tessellated floor made of crystals, and its groundwork was of crystals. Its ceiling was like a path of stars and lightning, and between them were fiery cherubims, and their heaven was clear as water. A flaming fire surrounded the walls, and its portals blazed with fire. And I entered into that house, and it was hot as fire and cold as ice. There were no delights of life therein. Fear covered me, and trembling got uphold of me. And as I quaked and trembled, I fell upon my face and beheld the vision, and lo, there was a second house greater than the former. I'm going to stop right here because I don't want to go too much further in this, but I want you to understand something. In this very verse, it shows you that these beings came from a different dimension. Now, just so you understand the context of this, the watchers, the fallen ones, petitioned Enoch to go to the courts of heaven on their behalf to see if he could bring a case, a petition before the courts of heaven, before the judge of heaven, for them to be forgiven. This is the first thing that you read when he says this. Where is it at? Here it is. Verse 4, I wrote out your petition, and in my vision it appeared thus, that your petition will not be granted unto you throughout all the days of eternity, and that judgment has finally been passed upon you. Yea, your petition will not be granted to you. So we have Enoch going to the courts of heaven, petitioning the judge of heaven for a verdict in their favor. And he says, no. In fact, this is what they're telling you, what he says, that your petition will not be granted, and throughout all the days of eternity, and that judgment has been finally passed upon you, you will not be granted. Then he says, and from henceforth you shall not ascend into heaven unto all eternity. And in bonds of the earth, the decree has gone forth to bind you for all the days of the world. And that previously you shall have seen the destruction of your beloved sons. You shall have no pleasure in it. They shall fall before you by the sword. This is the judgment against the giants falling and being killed. And your petition on their behalf shall not be granted, nor yet on your own, even though you weep and pray, you and speak all the words contained in the writings which I have written. So they have a court case laid out, and they're trying to petition for not only for themselves, but their sons, forgiveness for what they've done. And their petition is not granted. Now, this is clearly showing that these beings came down to earth, and it supports the fact that they took on the form of men, and then they slept with the daughters of women. So we know they're interdimensional beings. But let's go a little bit further, and we're going to try and go a little bit deeper. And the vision was shown to me, thus, behold, in the vision clouds invited me, and a mist surrounded me, and the course of the stars enlightened, sped, and hastened me, and the winds in which the vision caused me to fly and lift upwards and bore me into the heaven. So it shows you that clouds are portals here, that he went into the course of stars and lightnings, that he was sped up like at light speed, and that the winds caused him to be lifted upwards. So it's showing you that the natures of the elements of nature themselves are portals. So when the fallen angels are here and you see like a storm, or you see people doing witchcraft and they're turning storms, which is something that's really super duper popular in New Orleans. You know, they do turning ceremonies where they make sacrifices to the waters to get the storms to turn away from New Orleans. That didn't work out for Hurricane Katrina. I guess y'all didn't do too good a job of turning the damn storm because it slammed into everything. The point I'm making is it's showing you that these are various different portals and means of transportation is what I'm saying. And so these angels understand all these portals and means of transportation. Let me go back to the means of transportation again. And the vision was shown to me, behold, in the vision clouds invited me. Clouds give invites. And a mist surrounded me. And the course of the stars and the lightnings sped and hastened me. And the winds in the vision caused me to fly and lifted me upward and bore me into heaven. So each of these things are means of travel. I mean, when the thing about the book of Enoch and all the rest of these books, I would suggest if you want to have an understanding of this knowledge and be able to comprehend what's actually being said, you need to go read Job 38. But people will tell you, oh, you need to understand the book of Enoch. But Job 38 is more fascinating than the book of Enoch could ever be to me. But nonetheless, the point I'm making is means of transportation, modes of transportations, teleportings by winds and being moved by winds. And then he says, I went in till I drew nigh to a wall, which is built of crystal and surrounded by tongues of fire, and it began to affrighten me. And I went into the tongues of fire and drew nigh to a large house, which is built of crystals. We don't need to go into the rest of that. I made the point that I wanted to make is that clearly these interdimensional beings have a high level understanding of every form and mode of transportation. And that brings me back to Anna Paula Luna again. And again, she's going to express that I wouldn't call them aliens. I call them interdimensional beings who have the ability to come into our dimension and leave out of our dimension. But
being a member of Oversight, we follow up with whistleblowers, and we also can conduct our own investigations. So myself, Representative Burchett from Tennessee, and Representative Gates were on a small codel to the Panhandle because a whistleblower came forward from Eglin Air Force Base pilots to Representative Gates' office saying that the Air Force was essentially covering up UAP activity and we needed to look into it. So we coordinated the meeting. Pentagon tried to initially cancel the first one. We got it back on the books. We show up there and we get in, and the base commander tried to basically tell us that we didn't have authorized clearance to look into and speak to some of the witnesses, of which you don't tell Congress that we don't have the authorized clearance, especially members of House Armed Services, Oversight, and Judiciary. So I kind of had it out with the base commander, which is kind of funny because this guy really thought that he had it going on, and he actually, in the middle of our meeting, he took off on leave, which never happens with a delegation going to military base. But then also too, we had pretty sure people from the agency that were there as well. And so you really don't find that. I've worked at Hurlburt Field. I worked in the military for a number of years. And so why would a intelligence agency need to be there on a meeting for whistleblowers? So that happened. I can tell you, based on my investigations, not in a classified setting, that I absolutely believe that there is things that are advanced technologies not of human origin. And then we conducted the interview with David Grush. As you saw, it was one of the most widely attended congressional hearings in U.S. history. The information that was brought forward was particularly alarming because you're hearing about people that have potentially been murdered and covering up this information, and it was very interesting. So I advise everyone to watch it.
Yeah, was it, so based off what, and have you received classified information or just what they said?
No, yeah, but I can't talk about that.
Of course you can't talk about it. So what did you, before you came to Congress, did you think aliens were real?
So I wouldn't call them aliens. I really like what Grush calls them. He says that they're interdimensional beings, and he's very specific about that.
What does that mean?
I think it means that they're not necessarily a biological entity from another planet per se.
Interesting.
What I will say is, I share a Christian perspective on many things, and what's been interesting about this is the amount of stigma that existed previously to this cycle, but we have such a bipartisan push for transparency on this topic that they can't necessarily hide it. It has been interesting to see the levels of things that come up. Oh, there's no authorized clearance. You don't have the read-in authority for this, that, and the other. Well, if Congress is writing the bills to fund these programs, yet we don't have authorized access and oversight into it, then that's not necessarily something that happens in a free country, right? So we continue to push. But I mean, it's been very interesting to see some of the stuff that's come up.
Was it before you learned it? Did you think it was going to be completely different than what you learned? Was it?
No, I had some suspicions leading up into it. When I was stationed at Portland Air Guard Unit a number of years ago, I remember there was a incident that occurred, and the pilots kind of came back, and I asked one of them what he thought it was, and he couldn't really talk about it. He didn't want to, because the stigma that the military has is that you're crazy, right? But we're seeing that with especially technology that we have, even your iPhone, for example, you can record things and it's not necessarily going to be classified. So I kind of knew about it. I knew that that was a thing within the military, and that people were kind of worried about talking about it. But I think now, especially with transparency, we hope that more people come forward. The people that have come forward are credible. We've done the background checks on them. They're not, tin hat wearing kooks. Right. But, historically, there's a lot there that's to uncover, and I suggest that everyone look into it on their own. Being a member.
She says so much without saying much. She just affirmed again that they are interdimensional beings. She doesn't want to say that it's demons and fallen angels. And I want you to consider this for a moment. If it is demons and fallen angels, but she won't articulate that it's demons and fallen angels, it means that it's classified that they are demons and fallen angels. I'm going to repeat that again for you. It's what's not said that you have to look into. If they are demons and fallen angels, but it's classified information that they're demons and fallen angels, then she won't pronounce them to be demons and fallen angels. She'll refer to her Christian upbringing on that thing. Watch this. So we had pretty much sure, we worked, one of the most blah, blah. This is about right here.
So I kind of had it out with the base commander, which is kind of funny, because this guy really thought that he had it going on, and he actually, in the middle of our meeting, he took off on leave, which never happens with a delegation going to military base. But then also too, we had pretty sure people from the agency that were there as well. And so you really don't find that. I've worked at Hurlburt Field. I worked in the military for a number of years. And so why would a intelligence agency need to be there on a meeting for whistleblowers? So that happened. I can tell you, based on my investigations, not in a classified setting, that I absolutely believe that there is things that are advanced technologies not of human origin. And then we conducted the interview with David Grush. As you saw, it was one of the most widely attended congressional hearings in U.S. history. The information that was brought forward was particularly alarming, because you're hearing about people that have potentially been murdered and covering up this information, and it was very interesting. So I advise everyone to watch it.
Yeah, was it, so based off what, and have you received classified information or just what they said?
No, yeah, but I can't talk about that.
Of course you can't talk about it. So what did you, before you came to Congress, did you think aliens were real?
So I wouldn't call them aliens. I really like what Grush calls them. He says that they're interdimensional beings, and he's very specific about that.
What does that mean?
I think it means that they're not necessarily a biological entity from another planet per se.
Interesting.
What I will say is, I share a Christian perspective on many things, and what's been interesting about this is the amount.
Now, she said, I share a Christian perspective on many things, and it's a statement that leads nowhere. She answered his question. She answered this. I share a Christian perspective on many things. And then watch what she says next. She just goes off into there's been bipartisan support on this. What does the Christian perspective have to do with the bipartisan support on it? Absolutely nothing, right? I'll tell you this. What she's saying is she can't tell you that they're aliens. I mean, that the aliens that everybody's professing to be aliens are demons and fallen angels. And I'll go a little bit further. They're probably the spawn of fallen angels in some way, shape, or form. But it's obvious that that's what she's saying. I'm going to hit the play button, and I want you to listen to what she says next. Listen to the transition. And I thought for a second maybe there was some editing done, but we'll check it just to make sure I'm not lying to you. I'm going to hit play. Oh, my goodness, excuse me. I just want you to listen. Watch.
Christian perspective on many things, and what's been interesting about this is the amount of stigma that existed previously to this cycle, but we have such a bipartisan push for transparency on this topic that they can't necessarily hide it. It has been interesting to see the levels of things that come up. Oh, there's no authorized clearance, you don't have the read-in authority.
See? Did you hear her answer his question? I share a Christian perspective on this thing, and then boom, she switches the subject. And so this is the thing for me. It's obvious what they are. It's obvious what they are. And I've said this over and over and over again. So much of what the weird, freaky stuff itself ends up morphing into is the priesthood of it, the profiteering off of it. So the UFO conventions, the UFO sales, the spaceship sales, the TV shows, all that's the monetization of a topic. It all ends up being a monetization of the topic. And then if it's a religion, if it's a priesthood, then you're going to have a way to eat at that altar. That's why I left the cryptid community, because I don't want to eat from that altar of cryptids, because that thing will prosper you. Now, and it's going to add wealth, but it's going to add sorrows as well. And I hope you guys are getting what I'm saying. Dang, we've been going 40 minutes, man. This is crazy. I didn't realize I was talking this whole long. Maybe I should speed it up a little bit. Let me give you a reminder real quick. Hit the like button for me. This brings me to the last thing I want to discuss, which is the TikTokers that are out there saying that the falling debris is the falling meteors or debris from an intergalactic war that's happening right in front of us. Which that don't make no damn sense. I'm just going to tell you, ladies and gentlemen, it don't make no damn sense. I could see if someone making this claim, you know, in the 1970s, where everybody didn't have cell phones, when there were where there weren't telescopes that were electronic, that you can buy a telescope and look at the moon. I could possibly see that kind of claim. But in the modern day time and modern day area where everybody has access to a cell phone and technologies that everybody can see the technology and it's at their hands to where they can use it. This is a stupid claim, but this is going to go viral. I don't know. Give it 3 days and this will be a viral talking point. So we're going to cover it now.
Y'all, that was not a meteor. That was not a fireball falling out of the sky. What that was debris that's falling from the galactic war that's happening in our skies. So a lot of us can agree that the storms that we have been having lately has been very weird. In addition to that, a lot of us have been hearing these booms from the sky that sound like it is out of this world, and that's because it actually is. So keep in mind, the solar flares are about to hit the earth even more. In addition to that, the sun is about to get 100 times hotter. And the reason for this is because the earth is shifting, and in turn, it is forcing us to shift as well as vibrate higher. We are in the process of moving from the 3D to the 5D. And as this happens, we are about to see entities, beings, and things that we have never seen before. Y'all, we are about to see animals that we thought was extinct, or better yet, animals that we did not even know existed. I told y'all when that sun was red, that planet Nibiru was pulling up. To all my chosen ones, y'all already know what time it is. We up next. Let's go.
Oh my Lord. That gave me a headache. And then I want you to look at that look on her face at the end of it, like, let's go. Like, I just dropped knowledge on you. I just dropped knowledge on your head. Planet Nibiru is coming. because the sun turned red. And, planet Nibiru was behind the sun, so you can't see it coming. And there's an intergalactic war going on, but nobody's seen it on a telescope when everybody got a telescope, when everybody got the internet, when everybody can zoom into the sky. But there's an intergalactic war going on. The only thing that she said that's true, and she didn't even refer to it as the right way, is the poles are shifting. Excuse me, ladies and gentlemen, that is true. The poles are shifting. But that don't mean you're going from a 3D to a 5D. Yeah, you're going from a 3D to a 5D world. Yeah. Let me tell you something, y'all. Y'all going from a 3G to a 4G to a 5G to a 6G network signal. Yep, that's what's going on. And because of the 6G network signal that's coming out right now, that 6G is the reason why all of these asteroids are falling from the sky, because of the 6G network that they put in place. And on top of that, let me tell you what else. Bill Gates has got 6G flying around the sky right now. And Bill Gates could have intercepted those asteroids, but he didn't, because Bill Gates make those asteroids fall. Yep, that's what happens, y'all. Yep. Now, if I could go with anybody, I would go with this young lady has to say, but I don't know. Baby girl, listen to me. Whatever you're doing with your eyelashes is making you look like you're a black-eyed kid. So I'm going to try and help you, baby girl. Let me open your eyes. Let me see if they got some of your eyes open. Oh, shit, you look like a black-eyed kid the whole damn time. There you go. All right, sweetie. There you go. Don't squint your eyes, baby. Don't squint your eyes, because your eyes look black. Leave them open like that with your pretty eyeballs. Don't be squinting, because you look like a black-eyed kid when you do that. And she's got music playing. But she brought some very key points to mind. And so if I'm going to go with anything with the asteroids outside of fallen angels coming back, I will go with her premise. And her premise is this, that the Iranian regime said that they would target the United States of America. And that somehow they've shot rockets over here. And that what we're seeing is the rockets getting shot down in the sky. What we're witnessing is the debris falling from the rockets that are being shot. It's a stretch, but nonetheless, it may not even be a stretch, because all we know, they can have freaking rockets in Mexico for all we know. But here's the truth of the matter. If I'm going to go with anything, I'm not going with the black girl with the face that did like this. Talking about Nibiru. I'll go with this theory before I go with that, as it pertains to the comets falling. And I'll add in the fact that Donald Trump said we have space lasers, we have laser warfare, we have space lasers that we can shoot things out of the sky. It would make sense if somebody shot something into the sky, they got hit with a laser, come down and it look like a meteorite. I can go with that. I can go with the stretch on that, but I'm gonna stick with my very first conclusion. Last thing I want to show you guys, which I think is very important that you should see, is the Jewish young lady, Laura Loomer, coming out and making a statement. And I've been saying this for a while, and I want people to be aware of this. I said that people were being set up. Let me see if that's on the screen. I'm going to have to shift this over a little bit so you can see what Laura Loomer has to say. Make it like that. She says, and this is this is back to the political realm. Soon, there will be a massive Islamic terror attack in America, and the perpetrators will likely have financial ties to podcasters and those who are sowing discord on foreign nations in America. I'm just going to say this, you big face helper. If there's an attack on American soil by Islamicists, we're going to be looking at you first, because this goes back to what I was saying about the setup. I told you guys the whole machine has turned on, and it's making it seem like anybody who's a podcaster that doesn't say what they want to say is an enemy, not only of Israel, but an enemy of America. And this in itself right here is a setup. The law that was passed in Florida is a setup. These are all setups. I'm going to read it again. Soon, there will be a massive Islamic terror attack in America. How the hell she know that? That's the first question. And the perpetrators will likely have financial ties to podcasters. How the hell you know that? And those who are sowing discord for foreign nations in America. Now, this is the same trick that talked to the president, and the president gets his advices from. If I was the president, I'd say, come in with your big face. Come to the White House, big face woman. How the hell you know what's going to happen? that you prophesied. In fact, we rebuke this prophecy in the name of Jesus Christ. You don't get to prophesy over this nation. I predict there will be many casualties, and only then will it may be set in that people have been conned into supporting a terrorist psyop to distract from the threat of Islam, while the enemy plotted to destroy our country from within with botted conspiracy theories. Hold on. Stop. Let me reread this. Soon, let's read this with some common sense. Soon, there will be a massive Islamic terror attack in America. That's the premise. The perpetrators will likely have financial ties to podcasters who sow in discord for foreign nations in America. Terrorist attack, Islam. I predict there will be many casualties, and only then will it maybe set in that people have been conned into supporting a terrorist psyop to distract you from the threat of Islam, while enemies plot to destroy our country from within with botted conspiracy theories. So what is distracting from Islam? Because the Iranian war is about Islam. The primarily ICE detention was about going and getting basically the what's them people here? The raising head people, y'all. What's the raising head people? The raising head people from the other side of Africa. What's their name? Y'all know who I'm talking about. Getting them people out of Minnesota. Could you explain to me what the hell a distraction is? What's the distraction? What are we being distracted by? Everybody knows Islam is a threat. Last month we was talking about the raising heads and their fraud. I can't remember them damn people. What country them people from? What the hell is this trick talking about? It will likely be 10 times worse than 9/11, and it's going to trace right back to the woke right in some way. I just have this sense. You know, remember I told you guys the other day that Satan goes about like a roaring lion seeking who he can devour? That is what you call a roar. That right there is what you call a roar. And I've been saying this over and over and over and over again to podcasters. I said this about Tucker Carlson, Candace Owens, everybody. So essentially what this heifer is saying is, because you talk bad about Israel, when Islam attacks America, we're going to say that you was a distraction and that you were being funded by you were getting funded by Muslims to distract away from the Muslim threatened nation when they were going to do the next 9/11. So she's laying the case down for her to go to the president of the United States and say, well, Mr. President, I told you about these guys. I've been saying that these guys are doing this. I even said this in my other video the other night, maybe last night or earlier today. I said you guys are under attack, and even the podcasters are under attack. I explained clearly that when you saw the Fox News conservative media mechanism turn on and then them turn against independent media is such a threat that they want to destroy it. Charlie Kirk was destroyed and killed because of his influence in independent media. Who did it? I still think to this day it was a conspiracy, a group of individuals who did it, not just one person. But when you think about Joe Kent squaring off with Mark Levin, it's unfortunate because at the end of the day, everybody's kind of falling into this trap. The one person I can say that's doing good of avoiding this trap and is smart is Alex, because he just said, I'm going on vacation, which is the thing you should have did. Alex, if you watch this, dog, you smart. Boy, you smart, boy. You smart. Everybody else just running, falling into this trap that they've set for them. You're smart, homie. Enjoy your beach. You know what I'm saying? Because these dirty sandy beaches right here, all these dirty sandy beaches, they setting everybody. Everybody. They try and put handcuffs on everybody out here in these streets. And it's obvious. That's the thing to me. It's so obvious that it's going to backfire. That's all I'm going to say. And it's going to backfire spectacularly. But nonetheless, we got to go through what we got to go through. I've been saying we're going to have a terrorist attack on this in this nation. She just confirms that her Mossad is giving us some intel that they're going to do something in America. That's all it is. She's got some intelligence. that something's coming. And then somebody leaked some intelligence to her and said, hey, this is what's about to happen in America. It's going to be bigger than 9/11 and blah, blah, blah. And we're going to use this event to attack all the podcasters and this. It's because that machine has been turned against everybody. Don't agree with them? We're going to take it down. All right, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, dogs and cats. To surmise this video, number one, aliens are either demons or fallen angels. Number two, they are interdimensional beings, which means you can have an alien right here in the room with you and you not know it because they're outside of the light spectrum that you can see, sense, smell, taste, hear, or feel. Number three, there's a lot of dumbass conspiracy theories going around that just don't make no damn sense. And number four, the independent media is being set up by the Jewish lobby to be destroyed. And piggybacking on the destruction of the deaths of American people. And so there may be people who say, well, bro, I can't believe you said that. I'll just remind you what happened when Charlie Kirk died. When Charlie Kirk died, we had maybe 30 days after he died, there was this massive attack. Well, this person's not MAGA. That attack was led by Ben Shapiro. Candace Owens came in and started battling with him. Tucker Carlson battled with him. Alex Jones battled with him. A lot of people, Nick Fuentes battled with him. All these people came in to battle with Shapiro. And then Shapiro went on Joe Rogan's show. I'm just going to bring it to you, remember? Shapiro went on Joe Rogan's show, and he was like, we don't do the Jesus. And I told you guys then, I said, ooh, he just got dethroned. And then Ben Shapiro disappeared. Boom, gone. He didn't come back chomping at the bit and talking crazy until the Iran war started, which emboldened that lobby because they got their way. Whatever. And it was Purim for them. And so they was like, oh, we got a word from the Lord that, we're going to destroy Elam and we're going to destroy Iran. And so they've been running with it. And I even said this, and I'll say it again. There is a context in which that word of God, where he says he's going to destroy Iran or he's going to destroy the bow of Iran, there was a context for it. There was a specific target. It's not an open window where you just keep bombing with his support. On top of that, it was him who decided he was going to do it. So we're going to reach this phase where it has to come to an end. One way or the other. Because the Lord is not going to support it going forward. He's going to do what he said he was going to do within the confines of the words that came out of his mouth and the decree that he made. And then once we get to the end of that, that's it. So I hope Netanyahu keeps on fighting. I ain't gonna lie to you. I hope he keep on fighting outside of the will of God. I hope he do. Because then you're going to see him get the behind toe end too for pushing it too far. All right, ladies and gentlemen, the one only James Williams, Dark Waters. I'm out of here. I love you. Peace.